I would like to thank the organizers for this event. And first of all, today is a very unique and important day. It's called International Women's Day. So to all the amazing women all around the world and in this room, I would like to say Happy International Women's Day. I would also like to thank the men that also stood behind us. Without you all who have not been, so we see you all as partners. Thank you all. It's an honor to speak to you all, but also I bring greetings not just from me, but from amazing people in Liberia that have helped foster the work that I also do all over the world, and especially in Liberia. Today I will talk about peace, but more on the side of community service. Many years ago, I found myself, the last speaker talked at the age of 2, those formative years where our characteristics and our values are formed. Back in my country, 1980, middle of the night, as a child, I'm not going to disclose my age, but I was in my formative years. My mom took me from my bed, put me in a car, and we had to drive miles away. The next day, I asked, where is Dole? Point of correction, that would be 10 years after 1980. Do you know what my question was? If anyone knows 1980, who was the president then for the Republic of Liberia? Anyone in the room? No, it was Tobert. I asked my parents and everyone who could hear whispering it up. And I knew something was going on. And I asked, where's Tobert? What happened to people that was in his government? But I said 10 years after that, I found myself asking, what happened to Dole? 1990, it was Dole. Why I said peace start with me and we need positive change. I had to learn through community service that I had inner peace. So I asked, why community service? Why is community so important that we go out in this world, in our communities, and foster peace through service? The late Martin Luther King, during January we all have National Day of Service. I've come to realize that on my journey, I did not have the inner peace because my formative years was wars and coups and just civil unrest. So for me to stand here is an honor and privilege that I take peace seriously, and I will do anything to have positive but sustainable peace where this world and even this country we in are crying for everywhere. Community service play a very important role in peace building. It can be as far as your community. The previous speaker talked about music, he talked about food. You can bring peace by serving people meals, whether it's through food banks, soup kitchen. It can be through music. I remember Caroline, she sings beautifully, and during the open program, I said thank you for your beautiful selections. So we all have amazing gifts. What are your gifts? And how are you using those gifts to foster peace around the world? Peace starts not also naturally, but it starts just by in your community. Peace starts by being a good neighbor. You heard the story of the Good Samaritan. I'm not going to preach because I'm not a pastor, but peace starts within your community. Peace starts next door. It's so shame that a lot of us have neighbors, you don't know your neighbor's names. It's so shy that you can, I mean, that is the reality. Yeah. But what tools do we have in this room that we can foster peace? Peace starts in your community. Peace starts by advocating with your elected officials. There are a lot of ways that we can foster peace. And let's go back to my childhood. My childhood had a lot of, I did not know what was peace. I found peace, actually true peace, when I joined the Universal Peace Federation. And I would like to say thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Sharon Peace. I think it was divine. I was in the supermarket almost 15, 16 years ago in Cary. I was at the front of the line, and I think she was behind me, and I had a shirt on. And something struck, I think it was the Liberia or the message in the back of my shirt. She said, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I am from Liberia." If you know the history of Liberia, we have a connection with the United States of America because when they ended emancipation, a lot of the free slaves that were here decided to go back and form this small country called Liberia. Our first president was Joseph Rabas, that was born in Petersburg, Virginia. So I always knew, and I had this desire in me that was not fulfilled. I had everything, I earned everything, and I worked here. But then through my journey, and I think with the platform of Reverend Moon and what he stood for, she had given me a book, the first book. And I read how Reverend Moon went out there with mosquitoes and all, like, wow. Then this crazy community service came mine. Well, I used to run. I said, well, I'm going to train and I'm going to do a 300 miles run. I'm going to run from here to Maryland visually, but it was going to be in Liberia. So I trained and I went. What I'm saying that with community service, you can find peace because I'm a living testimony. I was broken as a girl because my formative years was all trauma. And if you go back, at least statistics, and I'm happy you talk about ages too. If you cannot read in those formative years, you gotta do a lot of work. So I knew that I had to work. And the only way I had to go and serve, but also serve the people that needed to be served the most. So I went to the most remote parts of Liberia, to women and children that was broken. They needed hope, and so community service can be through storytelling, meeting people where they are, listen to what they have to offer. Yes, I came from the USA. I could not take my ideas and ideologies to them. I had to listen where the pains were. So I'm going to ask you all, what are many ways that you are doing to serve those people who are hurting? They may not always come to you, but we have to be the vessel that goes to them. My great-grandfather used to say, he's not a Muslim, he's saved. And I respect all religions in this room, and this is not an offense coming. He said, baby girl, if the mountain don't go to you, you have to go to the mountain. Because of my scars, I used to be very stubborn, and I'm still stubborn. I always thought that if someone hurt me, I would not be the one to say sorry or not. So people who hurt me, I started going back to them and say, I am sorry. It takes a very special person to say, I'm sorry. To end with this, I applaud all the children that are in this room. I also have my two beautiful daughters that everywhere I went in this room, they used to be my pillar of support. Because I also I share my story, I wanted to see how beautiful the world was from my experience, through my own lenses. So Nancy and Jonte could not be here, but everything I do, and then there's another part of my life. I had my daughter, she's 19 years old. She was dead 4 months. A horrible image came from Liberia. because of my 4-month-old baby at that time, she's 19, gave birth to an organization called the Liberia Crisis Center. I looked at my daughters and I cried, especially the 4-month-old baby. I said, it could be Nancy. It could be Nancy in Liberia. The only difference between Nancy, she was born here, but it could have been a Nancy. There are many children out in Liberia, and especially you have all these wars all over the world. You know, Ukraine, Russia, Israel. Innocent kids are dying every day. They could have been my daughters. They could have been your daughters. It could have been your son. And the only reason why I'm talking about the little ones, because they're innocent and they do not need to be cut between crossfire. So, when Nancy, and especially when Nancy was born, and I looked at her and I literally cried. And I was like, okay, I need to do something. You don't have to go all the way to Africa, but I had to go because that's where I was born and raised, and I thought I could have positive, meaningful change. There's still a lot of issues and still a lot of lack of reconciliations, but we are all in this together. It does not take so much. So let's start with Liberia, a call of action. Please keep praying for Liberia. Peace start with the heart, and God searches our heart. We are still have not reconciled. There are still hurting people every day. Now, to the USA, if it touches upon your heart, there's a lot to be done in Liberia. Now to the USA, you have your next door neighbors. You have a lot of food pantries around. You have your schools. You have your elected officials. Though you have Universal Peace Federation, but it starts small. And I believe in the power of one, and the one have a multiplier effect. And together, we can make a difference. And hope is still not lost. This I say, thank you all for this opportunity.